That Rain-Kissed Umbrella, Chapter 4. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Eleanor Rose. Video editing by T.S. If you've not heard the previous 3 chapters of this story, you can find a link to them in the description box below. Make sure you listen to That Rain-Kissed Umbrella only after you have listened to both Strawberry Frappuccinos and a Black Leather Jacket, as well as When Honey Turns Bitter, as this is the 3rd series in the trilogy. Chloe's head wanted to explode from lack of time. Between classes, studying, Instagram shoots, and late nights with Marinette, she was spent. A week in the Caribbean would serve her nicely, but there was no time for that. Would it be easier if she wasn't thinking about Adrien every blank moment? Yes. Studying and stitching left her brain numb as her thoughts and regrets swirled, but she wasn't about to give in. Never again. Honestly, all she wanted to do was crash on her bed and play Candy Crush while some drama aired on her TV. But she didn't have that luxury right now. She had to stitch. Just keep stitching, just keep stitching. Chloe shook the pseudo-Disney Pixar reference out of her head and took a seat at her desk, pulling out her supplies for the day. It was 3 weeks into the new semester, and as such, Felix arranged the classroom so the students sat next to their partners instead of across from them. As much as she hated to admit it, sitting next to Marinette wasn't all that bad. Her last seatmate smelled like a bad mix of men's deodorant and body odor, while Marinette, no matter how tired she was, came in smelling like a sink in a Bath & Body Works store. Sure, Chloe always made sure to add a puff of Chloe, but it wasn't as though she loved the fragrance. It was a present from "Good morning," Marinette said, sliding into the seat beside her, rubbing her hands together. She smelled sweeter than normal. "Do you want some?" Marinette asked, unsure under her gaze. Oops. She'd been staring. "Want what?" she asked, turning her head away in embarrassment. This girl was so nice it was hard to muster her tone nowadays. "Hand cream." Marinette held out a purple tube, and Chloe caught a whiff. Ah, yes. That's why she smelled sweeter than usual. No. She turned her attention to the supplies in front of her, rearranging an already organized row made up of a pencil, a pen, and a highlighter. She could feel Marinette's shift on the bench. Ugh, great. Now she felt bad. Sure, Marinette might have hurt her relationship with her ex, but it takes 2 to tango, and Adrien's bad at social clues and girl signals. Well, signals from boys too. People. Adrien's bad at peopling. People cues? Doesn't matter. Wow, Chloe just couldn't focus today, huh? Almost as much as when she was in the middle of a breakup. Ugh. Okay, fine. She knew what she needed to do. She was trying to be a better person, after all. Actually, yeah, Chloe recanted. Humidity's been down recently, after all. She didn't look over, but she heard a pause before a zipper moving across fabric filled the space. Marinette set the tube in front of her. Black Cherry Merlot from Bath & Body Works. No wonder she smelled like a store. "I've got some other," Marinette began. "All right, sit down and shut up," Felix said, kicking the door shut behind him. As much as Chloe wanted to hate the guy, he did have an air about him that she wished she could control. All eyes on him, or something like that. "Don't forget, projects are due next week." Surprise rippled across the class. Next week? They were supposed to have until the end of the semester! Her eyes met Marinette's, a solidarity shared between them. By some miracle, they'd stayed ahead of the game schedule-wise, and Marinette wasn't dumb with a needle, so they should be all right. But still, next week? Felix was living up to his reputation. I bet he's just looking to add a student's piece to his portfolio by a deadline or something, she muttered under her breath. Marinette choked back a laugh, and Chloe's face held a thin-lipped smirk. It wasn't uncommon for professors to run their students dry to make it look like they're a great teacher, after all. So, for those of you who have not yet, Felix began, cut off by a ringtone. Huh. It was the same ringtone she used. Adrien had picked it out for her as a joke before they started dating, and she shot up straight, horrified. It was the same ringtone because it was her ringtone! She grabbed her phone out of her purse, intending to turn it off or throw it out the window, a suitable option for this scenario, when she saw who it was from. Father. Sorry, she said as Felix gave her a raised eyebrow. I have to take this. She ran out of the classroom without making eye contact with anyone, her thoughts set on the green button to accept the call. Hello? She said, nearly out of breath from the sudden cardio. Hello, Chloe Bear, her father's voice echoed. What? She asked, not bothering to filter out the snap in her tone. If anything, she was worried. Well, my head of security wants to know if he should stop monitoring Adrien now that the two of you aren't dating. Anxiety sat on her chest like the cat she and Adrien fostered in secret during their childhood days. She'd wanted nothing to do with the feline, but he insisted on keeping it, and one day, his father came into the bedroom, so she had to hide under the bed with the fat fur ball curled up on her chest, humming like a vacuum. And now, without a cat on her skin, anxiety hummed into her ribcage. Do you know what happened to the butterfly man? She asked. No. Her father's words struck her like a knife, letting air escape her lungs without hope of returning it. Take off his security detail, Chloe managed. But don't let his presence return online, okay? As you wish, my dear. It's better that way. We lose more than he makes on a coffee shift. Is that everything? I have to get back to class. She didn't want to think about what the conversation meant. She didn't want to think about the butterfly man or what happened to them. She didn't want to think at all. The class didn't turn to look at her when she walked in, and she was grateful for it. If she were lucky, Felix would ignore the distraction during class and dock her demerit points quietly. Nice of you to join us, Miss Bourgeois. The voice raised the hair on her neck. Gabriel. Gabriel Agreste was the center of attention in the room. Gabriel Agreste was the reason why not a single student looked at her when she walked in. They didn't dare to. And that purring cat returned to her chest, humming a pressure she wanted to chase out into the street. But she couldn't. She couldn't chase the feline-shaped anxiety out. Chloe couldn't even open her mouth to respond. Instead, she sat in her seat, paying too much attention to the pencil sitting atop her notebook. Her hands, balled into fists in her lap, shook with rage at herself. A cold touch slid across her hands, jolting her out of her self-obliviousness. Marinette had set her hand atop her own, an olive branch she hadn't known she needed. And, without meaning to, Chloe gave her a small smile. "Do you know that man?" Marinette whispered, her eyes following Gabriel as he left the room. "That's Adrien's father," Chloe replied, as though they were seatmates on good terms. Huh. She'd been on such a roller coaster of emotions in the last few minutes, she hadn't bothered to jump into the I Hate Marinette car. Oh. Her face went white, and she suddenly straightened in her seat. Wait, Adrien's father is the principal? Yes. It was easy to read Marinette's thoughts as she flipped through facial expressions. Not bothering to wait for a response, Chloe grabbed her bag and left. Felix declared this a free workday, and she wasn't going to work here. The day, of course, kept getting worse. It was raining, and Chloe hadn't informed her driver of the time change. Whatever. This was Paris. She'd be fine walking. It was just annoying. Oh, it's raining. Marinette's voice floated in behind her. Ugh, no, duh. Great observation, Einstein. Suddenly, all of the animosity Chloe had for her came flooding back like the water lapping at the gutters. But, like rain on cobblestones, it drained away. The only person she was hurting was herself. I have an umbrella, Chloe said, slipping one of her purse straps down her shoulder to rummage inside. That's so smart. I'm not organized enough to be that prepared, Marinette said, taking up the space beside her. I'm saying we can share it. Although it was an attempt to show kindness, her voice carried its usual bite. Marinette blinked, eyebrows raised, then smiled. Thanks, she said, stepping closer. But you're gonna hold it. I'd expect nothing less. Her comment came with laughter, and Chloe found a smirk on her own face in response. Huh. As much as she hated to admit it, Chloe could see why Adrien liked her. Come on! Let's go already, she said, stepping forward as the umbrella ballooned open. Raindrops kissing her forehead for a moment before Marinette swung it over their heads. Going? Where? Your place, silly. Workday, remember? Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Sure. Had she forgiven Marinette for her actions? No, absolutely not. The woman was still a temptress, and she wanted karma to scrape her wrist with its nails, scarring her forevermore. But, despite the odds, she was growing on her, mostly because she had something to offer as Ladybug. Well, at least that's what she told herself. And for once, she wondered if this was for the best. It posed a good question. Would she look back on this with karma? Or friendship? Chloe didn't know, nor did she want to. For now, she wanted to get this project done at all costs. And all costs would come in the name of this project. Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 5 is on the way. In the meantime, you can check out other videos on this channel for more fanfiction. I'll catch you in the next one.